a lot of grandmas, like even in Mexico and other countries, they're selling freaking tamales, right? They're selling on the street. They just literally open their garage door and they have to make it. The entrepreneurship spirit is there. Grandma is a hustler.
Dale.
Here in Houston, we've got this big panaderia called Bolillos, like very
Ooh,
good.
bakery. Pan.
Lots of people love the pan
Pan.
there.
I'll tell you the story why I'm saying pan, but continue.
Well, okay, but this bakery, the Spanish Mexican pan bakery, is some white folks that own it, and it's like one of the most. It's like the most popular in Houston. I think recently they had a merger, and maybe they got a Latino in there now. But it was started by bolillos, and when I say bolillos, like for those of you that aren't familiar with the term, bolillos is the white. Is like a white hoagie roll, like a white bread roll that a lot of
Like a
Hispanics
white baguette, Mexican
a
baguette.
white Mexican baguette, yeah. Like,
In
and a
it's
lot
a
of people,
short. It's a short because it's meant to be the size of a sandwich. Like that. That's what we use instead of like a white bread for sandwich in Mexico and some countries in Latin America. They use bolillos, which is kind of it's more crunchy. It has layers of fluffiness, and it's not like the bread that we are used to, like for your peanut butter and jelly type of a sandwich. But yeah, we use it and we say tortas. That's
yeah,
basically.
tortas.
Mhm.
People familiar go to Mexican Tex-Mex restaurants that you can get a torta, but yeah, that bread is. You're right. It's a little reminiscent of a French baguette, maybe a
It
little
is.
softer, maybe,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's very reminiscent to that. Well, anyways,
If they
so
if the bakeries don't know how to do it, then it's soft. But if they know how to do
yeah.
it, it will be crunchy. That should be crunchy.
Oh, okay. Well, so anyway, so these bolillos, that's kind of a staple of a lot of the diets, right? It's a very common bread, and so they named the panaderia or the bakery bolillos. But it's also funny. Bolillos also has a meaning of like the white people, right? The white person. So I think they were being upfront about it, like,
Okay,
hey,
okay, okay.
somos bolillos, but we make bolillos too.
What is wrong with some bolillos owning a panaderia place, man?
You know what? Not necessarily anything wrong with it, but I'm like, man, shouldn't it be Latinos having these
You have a point
restaurants?
there. Yeah, you have a point there. Where guys,
Yeah,
what the fuck happened there, right? Like we're not getting our shit together. Why we are not the
yeah.
ones selling? I see
Those
your point.
bolillos are eating our lunch over here, man. They're
Yes,
eating our
for sure.
bolillo sandwiches.
Yeah, and for the my our audience, sometimes they don't understand, but we're not racist. My wife is white, by the way. So it's like we just are putting a point where sometimes Latinos, we have good things that a lot
Yeah.
of people want, whites, blacks, and Hispanics, right? Everybody would like bolillos. It's an amazing bread, right? So, but it's a good question. Why we are not the ones selling these type of things or creating an empire, a business, right? Like a whole franchise, right? What do you think that that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part. We have obviously things that people are interested in, right? There's the Bolillos Panaderia. Recently, I've seen here in Rice Village in Houston, there's this paleteria, like Mexican style paletas, and they're luxury paletas or high style or high whatever paletas, popsicles, right? Mexican popsicles. And so, but like a lot of times they don't see it's not Latinos that are bringing to that. And I'm wondering, what is it? What is
Mhm.
the thing like that we're missing to bring something that like a business like that out? Because it's
It
not.
is. I'll tell you my point of view.
Sure, go
I,
ahead.
I think that is business acumen, and it has
Mm,
to do some. It's information. It's being able to education, right? And if you don't have that, then it would be harder. But because there is something there, a lot of grandmas, like even in Mexico and other countries, they're selling freaking tamales, right? They're selling on the street. They just literally open their garage door and they have to make it, right? They want to take your kids to college, and it's
hmm
like, man, I need to start hustling, right? And
Yeah,
they sell like clothes, or they sell like Amway or whatever, right? Like Mary Kay, like equivalent in their countries, or quesadillas or tamales, the entrepreneurship spirit is there.
Yeah. That's the
And
original hustle culture. Hustle culture that you see right now out there in TikTok and all that. That's the way Latinos are just in general. That's that mentality that they've always
and
had.
dude,
But maybe it's
nothing,
because of
nothing,
survival.
yes, and nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's the struggle between sometimes our culture. Oh no, if I'm hustle, like if I or I need to hustle all the time. No, man, that's a step. It's a step on the ladder. You can become legit,
Hmm.
right? The grandma, maybe she didn't have the acumen to be able to say, you know what, how I can make this business to have a shop, and from a shop, how I can have like three shops, and from those three shops, how I can make like a hundred shops, and maybe grandma doesn't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe grandma's like, well, I just want one shop. That's fine too, right?
Hmm.
But I think that what happens is that I hear people saying, well, I cannot do it. Like, why not? Maybe you need something in your mindset to get right, right? Um, and I think that that's one of the things that I can see because grandma is a hustler.
Yeah, that's true. It's and you're right. It's a different mindset. I think there's always a reason why you can say that why this might not work, but think of all the reasons how it could work. It's maybe a growth mindset. Sure, identify your gaps, identify the risks that there might be, and then figure out how to overcome those things, and so you can get to that next step. Don't stop there because you're like, I'm not sure. Like, figure it out. You can, do some research. You could do some testing. You could try asking other people, but identify the gap or the reason not to do it, and then you can figure out how to overcome that obstacle and kind of keep moving forward.
Yeah. Talking about obstacles, and before we move there, the reason why I was telling you, Pan, is because my grandpa, he passed away, but when he came and visited me from Mexico, he was already old and he was in a wheelchair. He didn't know English, and then somebody in IHOP approached him. Hey, sir, do you want something? And the frustration that I can see in his face, and just talking to the waitress, Pan. So in my family now, we when we are frustrated and we are hungry, we just say, Pan.
Oh man, that's an awesome way to remember your grandfather. I know you told me that you recently went back to Mexico
Yeah,
for.
so and the reason why I remember the grandmas is because my grandma just passed away,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
and she was a hustler. Grandma, grandma, wherever you are, it's like I'll remember you always. So
Got
uh,
those genes.
I guess I'm the hustler too. And dude, she had this. I suck at speaking. Yes, I'm doing this podcast, and it's actually for me to be able to learn how to speak in public and all of that, right? My grandma, man, it's just natural. Like she was able just to speak like public, being funny without being too, like great memory. And obviously, when she started getting older, she started losing her mind a little bit. But dude, like always very, very a salesperson. If I would say what she was a kind of hustler, a salesperson, and that's the reason why I had this example because I just remember mine selling all of these things, right? Just opening her garage and selling products.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of it comes out of necessity, but some people are naturals at it. Doesn't mean you can't learn it though, right?
Hmm. Which I think that that's what maybe it's okay to do it, right? And if that's what you need to do, well, that's what you need to do, right? Sometimes it's like well, when I'm gonna lose my job, and like instead of going out, you might eat like frijoles and like beans and rice, right? Like, and I mean, you'll survive,
Yeah,
right? So maybe you'll sleep on the floor, and right, like you'll make it. There's people that obviously maybe you don't want to do that for the rest of your life, but if you are good and you have excellence, man, you'll get out of the hole very quickly.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you touched on it. Part of that is excellence. Whatever you're gonna do, try to do it well. I
Mhm.
know in some cases you might think, this is not a long term thing, but so you may not put your 100% towards it. But you never know. And no matter what you're doing, you're always upskilling or improving your skills. The only way you can improve is if you're really trying. So, I mean, even if something doesn't seem like it might be long term or something like that, still try to be excellent.
It's your
And
reputation,
it's
man.
your
Your
reputation
rep.
at stake.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. Always like a lot of the sometimes good jobs. Maybe a friend of yours, like, oh yeah, when I was in this restaurant, he was my, whatever. And but now the person is in a maybe in a bank or in another institution, and like, and they like, hey, this guy or this gal has a great work ethic, right? And yeah, it carries you. It's your reputation.
Yeah.
Talking about reputation, you remember that we brought up Rico into the pod. Uh,
Oh yeah, Rico the Barber.
Rico, yes, he now is an entrepreneur, man. Maybe a little bit of what I have been
Mm.
pushing on him, his mindset. Maybe I got into his thick skull, and it's like he did it, man. He
That's
did it.
good.
He jumped basically ship. He was in a just in a regular barber
Hmm.
shop, and then now he rented out a studio with his partner. He has a partner, so
Hmm.
I went to his place, and it's basically only a space for two chairs, right?
Hmm.
But I was very proud of him. It's like, man, this Rico is my boy. So like, no, man, like you have to. And I was kind of giving him some advice, and his partner, the first time that I met his partner,
Hmm.
and he goes by Casio, like those watches. That was his last name.
Casio.
That's I think that's his last name too. And I was just giving them like left and right. Uh, I love tech and I love businesses, right? So that's
Hmm.
literally the things that I always talk about. So I was just giving them advice, right? And dude, the Casio tells me, bro, you're a saint.
You're a saint. Okay, he just met you, right?
It's like exactly, and it's like, man, this guy doesn't know me yet. So for me, that was the first one. I have been called rude. I have been called a genius, right?
There
But
you
never a
go.
saint. So
Ay, ay.
I think that. What do you think? What do you think that? Why he thinks? I mean, this guy, he just
Mm.
barely met me, and
Yeah.
he's just telling me that, right? What's your? I
Well,
gave
you
him
know
a bunch
what?
of advice, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably yeah. I mean, you probably touched on it right there. It's because maybe in the Latino community, and we've mentioned this before, maybe we're not used to helping each other. So when someone does, you're like, wow, like what? I can't believe this guy is really dropping real knowledge from his own experience, the things that he knows, just to try and not, not asking anything for it. Maybe
Yeah,
that's why you helped them out. You got them from step one to step two, and they're real grateful for it.
for sure. And dude, the guy is like, my barber is like, no, man, the cut is on me this week. They're like, bro, you're already starting, man. It's like, no, like,
Take my money, bro.
you take my money when you are there, man. Sure, I'll get the nice steak. I'll take it, right? But right now, man, no. I need to support you, right? I need to
Mhm.
help you to keep excelling, because that's the worst thing that could happen. It's very hard to do the jump, and suddenly your business fail, because that's literally what happens, right? And we know that 90% of businesses, they fail in America.
Mhm.
So I want basically him to succeed, and it's in the Woodlands. It's a very nice, rich neighborhood in north of Houston, and yeah, I hope that he makes it. And yeah, but I have been giving him advice, but yeah, I do recommend to have, if you think that you have a shot, take it. I mean, what is the worst thing that could happen, right? Just go back to work.
Yeah, you go back to your own shop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a good
yeah.
point. Well, it sounds really good. Maybe we should have him back on the podcast. Do a recap of what's going. It's been maybe what 5-6 months since we talked to him, right? It's been a
Hmm.
while.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, that might be a good one. We can bring him back.
for sure. So
You know what? Let's leave it at that. You know what? If you like our content, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. We love to hear from you. It'll give us ideas on what to talk about next. Hopefully, we inspire the next billionaire out there. Hopefully, it's one of us Latinos, and we got to get onto it, man. You know what? Dale.
peace.